Good day, everyone. We're back with another episode in the lead up to Team Champs 2026. We're less than 2 weeks out. We're almost 1 week out, really. And we've got Jess Arambe of Melbourne Uni Lifting Club joining us, representing the MULC. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Jess is should be a familiar face if you were paying attention last year, because she also competed in the 47 kilo class in 2025 and is back lifting for the club in 2026. But she's not the head coach. Most of the interviews have been with the head coach. But just want to explain to us who will be the head coach for Melbourne Uni Lifting Club?
The head coach will be Anthony Hill, which is a well-known name, I think, in powerlifting. He wasn't available because he's just been working for quite busy. But yeah, he'll be our head coach, and we'll be lucky to have him.
As you said, a very well-known lifter and personality in Melbourne powerlifting. Has been around the traps. If I'm not mistaken, went to World Championships last year in the juniors and the 105s, Open National Champion. And so you've got a very good set of eyes on you as a team. And talk to us a little bit about Melbourne Uni, because unlike a lot of the other clubs that are like private businesses, Melbourne Uni is obviously part of the university. So the Melbourne Uni Lifting Club is part of the university. And it has a different structure, right? Rather than a director or an owner like I am of TSF, you know, your role, I think, is the president, right?
Yeah, I am the president this year. It has a very long history, I would say, with like very big names. I was recently talking to one of our retired coaches, Sam Opat, and he was saying like we've had like Tony Rainmouth as part of the club a while ago, and you know, some really world-renowned names, and now we have like, you know, Anthony Hill and just a lot of good talent throughout the years. And we've just been a very long-standing club affiliated with the uni. Just a very community, student-led club, I'd say.
You're not wrong about big names having trained at Melbourne Uni Lifting Club. Some of them, as you mentioned, Tony Reinmouth, David James, represented Australia numerous times, Nip Liu, previous deadlift world record holder, and another previous deadlift world record holder, and John Paul Coucher used to train there as well. So pretty strong history at that club. And last year I spoke to Jonah, and we spoke about how Melbourne Uni Lifting had just come back on the scene. You know, it had some time away from powerlifting, obviously a bit of political turmoil at the time, but it's back. And that was a really big part of our conversation last year, how excited we were that Melbourne Uni Lifting was back. I was excited because, as I alluded to earlier, Melbourne Uni has a strong place in my heart.
Yeah.
If I cast my memory back to 2025, actually, for those that don't remember, but were at the competition, Melbourne Uni lifted in the challengers bracket and didn't actually make the top four. So didn't finish in the top four, so didn't get the auto qualifier into the premier bracket, but put up such a strong performance that even after the whole competition was said and done, you'd actually still qualified. You actually finished in the top 10 overall. And so Melbourne Uni in the premier bracket, and I'm stoked to see it.
Yeah, we were absolutely so surprised to be in the premier bracket our first time back in Team Champ. So, it was amazing. We definitely have our eyes set on bigger goals this year, I think. But yeah, now we know where we sort of lie with the rest of the team. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be good.
Melbourne Uni, as you mentioned, student-led. Do you want to talk us through some of your lifters or your team? And we can go through them one by one. And before we even go, I think an interesting thing to note is your entire team are juniors, all under 23s. Yes. By definition, right? Almost it's hard to avoid when you're a university-based club. So in some sense, you've already got this kind of disadvantage. But let's talk through some of the lifters in your team. Again, just a reminder, everybody, Melbourne Uni lifting in the premier bracket.
Yeah.
Do you want to start off with maybe yourself, because you'll be the first lifter on the day?
Yes, me. I will be lifting again. I just loved Team Champs last year so much, and we sort of picked our athletes this year by just who wants to do it, and just with also like our lifts, our dots and GL points. So we did do a ranking sort of system, and then whoever out of that placed the highest in the ranking is who we chose. I'll be coming back, and it doesn't look like I have much competition this year as opposed to last year when I had Pamela, who was amazing to lift against. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. I feel like not having as much competition. I feel like it was so much fun last year, and I enjoyed having such a close fight with them. Even Tink, I think, in the Premier bracket. It was like, I don't think I'll get that sort of opportunity to fight alongside that many 47s again. So, but it's still good. I think after I went to nationals this year, so after having such a stressful prep for me, it's kind of nice to not have that pressure of competition in a way. But yeah, I still would have enjoyed having some people on the platform with me.
Yeah, so Jess, you're lifting the 47 kilo class, as you said, and are the only lifter. You're the only one in the 47s, which
Yes.
disappointing, and I'm also a little bit disappointed. It's a bit of a shame. I always tell the story of 2024 team champs, and it was USAPL, so the bottom weight class was 48 kilos for the women, and in the initial nominations there was 148, and then when we did the changes, there was 548s,
Oh my
and
gosh.
and and a number of the 48s, one in particular, came up to me after the competition and said, like, thanks for hosting this comp the way that it is, because it encourages clubs to put in, lifters in the fringe
Yeah.
weight classes.
Hmm.
And they said, like, how excited they were and how happy they were that they got to compete in a group, because oftentimes you're on
Hmm.
your own. So it's a little bit of a shame that you are lifting on your own, but
Yeah.
6 easy points for Melbourne Uni, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, who have we got next?
We have Misha Kia Montero, under 52s. She is the youngest on our team, and she is incredible. She she went to junior nats this year as well. Already qualified for Worlds. Absolutely incredible lifter. Definitely going to be a standout in the future. She nearly almost got best lifter in the female junior nationals as well, which is insane for your first nationals and being 19, barely any comp experience either. So, yeah, she's incredible. She's very excited to lift on the day. Yeah, I know she's going against Annabelle, who will be, I think it'll be a great fight. It'll be awesome, be really head to head, but I think she'll put up a good fight and she'll do good.
Yeah, you got that right. Misha, did you mention she's only 19
Yes.
in the 52 kilo class? There's only two really fighting in that group. There's Kaylee Nguyen also from TSF, actually, who's lifting on the first day.
Yeah.
But both Annabelle and Misha are around the 380 kilo mark. I don't know if you heard the conversation that I had with Michael Porsovigan a couple of days ago, but when we previewed this category, one thing I don't know if I said it explicitly, was the fact that, Annabelle's is in her late 30s. She's not improving as much, whereas Misha has a lot of
Right.
opportunity, for, like a lot of potential for growth, a lot of potential for improvement. And so even though Annabelle is better on paper, I think it's going to be a really close battle.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think if everything goes our way, we might have a chance of winning with in her weight class. So yeah, we'll have
I
to
think that's going to
see.
be, yeah, I think that's going to be a very important result when it comes to where your teams end up, especially for Elemental, who, as I mentioned in that podcast, are fighting to stay fighting to stay in the Premier bracket.
Yes.
Okay, you also have Aiden in the 66ers.
Yeah, Aiden 66ers. Yeah, he commonly competes in APL, so he this will be different for him. But yeah, he's a great lifter. I think he will put up a really good fight against Gary from Strength Collective. Yeah, I've heard a lot about him from Dan Featherston, who's our coach at Melbourne Uni. But yeah, Aiden has an insane deadlift, so I think he'll pull a lot of the weight for him. But yeah, very good, very good athlete.
It's a great thing to actually mention there that Dan Featherston is coaching out of Melbourne. I almost forgot that he does that. So he's still coaching there, is he?
Yeah, it's funny because he's coaching all of us. If anything, he should be our head coach. But yeah, it'll be funny to see him with his own team, knowing that he controls what we do all the time. So in
Almost a
the
bit of almost like a mini conflict of interest, but I know it's not. It's
yeah.
interesting. It's a similar thing. I think we've spoken about this on a couple of different episodes where so many of the coaches are friends with or coaching elsewhere, or what you'll find actually on the day is that, especially on the challengers bracket, a lot of the coaches from the Premier bracket are actually assistant coaching on day one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's almost unavoidable when you have these small groups.
Hmm.
In the 66 class, you said Aiden's going to be having a good fight with Gary. I think Aiden on paper is a little bit behind Gary in terms of nominations, who's from Collective, Strength Collective.
Yep.
But as I mentioned, you guys are all juniors, so there's a lot of room for improvement, and we don't really know how much Aiden will have improved since his last 570 total.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be Gary's a bit ahead of him for sure, but yeah, Aiden's looking to definitely do his best, and yeah, he'll just give it his all on the day. He's very excited to compete, so I think it'll be good. Yeah.
Good one. And I think your last lifter might be Ethan.
Yes, Ethan Orr, he competed last year as well with me for team champs, so he does know what it's like competing in this competition. Yeah, I think he has the most competition experience out of all of us. He's done like about five. And yeah, I think, unfortunately in a very deep weight class in the 83s. So yeah, but he's a very good lifter and he'll do his best for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the 83 kilo class, very deep, a little bit, like quite the opposite actually of the 47 kilo women's. So
Yes.
I think there's
Yeah.
like 11 lifters in that group. So I don't think Ethan will be really fighting for like podium places, but still going to be scoring an important point for Melbourne Uni.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think he'll not do, I think he'll place quite well with regards to 11 people being in his weight class. He'll do well. Not podium, but he'll still put up a good performance. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we go on, I do want to quickly take a break and mention our major sponsor of TSF Team Champs. It's Symmetry Physiotherapy. Jess, you've even probably heard me do this ramble a couple of times on other episodes. But Symmetry Physiotherapy are our major sponsor. They came on board about a month ago, and because of their financial support means that we can blow up the comp, make things even better. They are a physiotherapy clinic based in Melbourne. There's 9 clinics. The closest one that we liaise with is in Ascot Vale. It's close to our gym. It's actually probably not very far away from Melbourne Uni as well. And we've been dealing with Megan Keeley. We've been working with her for over a year. For over a year, we send all of our lifters to her and them. So it was a very easy fit. It was very easy for me to go up to them and say, hey, do you want to sponsor our comp? Because we've already got this great
Yeah.
relationship, and they were all aboard. And so big thanks to Symmetry Physiotherapy. They've got an offer, 25% off myotherapy, 25% off initial consults for anybody competing at Team Champs or any members of TSF actually as well. So go check them out. All the information is in the bio there. They also have a live clinic on the day. So Jess, a reminder, if you're lifting and you're in a bit of pain, you can run out
Yeah.
and go see them and they can fix your shit up pretty quickly. So
That would be awesome. Yeah. Can't
hopefully
wait.
nothing goes wrong, but it's good to know that there is that backup, if you need to get strapped or
Yeah.
if you need to get, something goes funny. Things happen all the time. I remember there was one comp I did many years ago. I say many, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, where I was getting massive lat cramps during deadlifts. Like
Oh, that's fun.
literally, yeah, so bad. But there was a physio there and I just ran over and I knew the guy
Yeah.
as well. And I said, Dan, my lat's cramping, sort me out. And he,
Yeah.
5 minutes between attempts, ran back out, ready to go. So it's
Oh, that's
actually a
amazing.
lifesaver if you know it's there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, talking about some of these groups, it's obviously unavoidable, but I'm curious to hear about how competitive you guys are a group. You're quite familiar with who your teammates are competing against. Is this something that just kind of happens naturally because there's a bit of goss and a bit of chit chat in the group chat? Or is this something that you're actively going out and looking up out of curiosity? Or was this something you just prepared for our conversation today?
I think I mean, I am generally curious as like the president of our club, to know like who we're up against. And even just talking with Dan in the club, we talk about team champs and we talk about who's likely to do well. And I think he knows a lot more than me, so it's good to hear from him. But I know that we fell short of Elemental last year, so they're on our radar because of that. I think it'd just be nice to beat them if we can. But with regards to the other teams, I think we just want to see what we can do and not really put pressure on our team to particularly like beat or like get even a podium place, but just do our best almost and just walk away knowing we've done our best. So yeah, I think they're on our radar, Elemental. But yeah, we'll just see what happens on the day.
I appreciate the direct call out, like Elemental one with the Melbourne Uni Lifting Club. That's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, obviously, Dan Featherston, and I mean, I know Dan's a big fan of the comp. He loves it. He loves the competition as a whole, and so I have no doubt that he's had a big influence on Melbourne Uni putting a strong
Yeah, for
team
sure.
together. you mentioned that, yeah, Dan coaches all of you in terms of
Hmm.
like privately or, writes your programs and whatnot. How
Hmm.
closely involved is Anthony? Like, are you guys training together? Are you training with him? Are you training as a group? How across is he on all of your training? Is he doing any sort of coaching like formally at Melbourne Uni Lifting? Give us a bit of a rundown here.
Yeah, so Anthony, I would say we're not directly influenced by him coaching wise. We just train together at the club every session, which is every Monday, Thursday. So we do get a lot of time with him to talk to him, and in general, our club is social, pretty social. So we are good friends outside the club, very good friends, I would say, our team. So we do talk about our lifting and how we're going and how we're feeling. So I think he is definitely in the loop. And as for his coaching, I know he has a very startup sort of business going on, coaching business, but I don't think he's advertised it as such yet. But I think he's heading that way, and it'll be good. But yeah, I think he'll be ready for us on the day, and he's in the loop about what we're doing and where we're tracking.
Yeah, of course, it is a little bit of a challenge always to have someone handling you coaching on the day who's not like super familiar with
Yeah.
your training, but it obviously helps as well that you guys train together and he's watching your sets
Yeah.
and knows what to expect, knows your personality type a little bit, knows
Mhm.
might know what the right words to say at the right times.
Yeah, yeah, he does for sure, and it helps that we talk to him pretty regularly, so he does know, like you said, our personality types and what our mindset's like on the day. And also, he was the assistant coach last year for Team Champs with Jonah, so he knows how the competition runs and the point system, and he'll definitely have a lot of experience and knowledge about us as well to coach. But yeah, it would have been awesome to have Dan instead. Yeah, it's funny because yeah, he does coach. He knows everything about us, and he's on the other team. So
I'm sure it'll be comforting though, because Dan will be in that warm up room, the whole day anyway.
yeah,
So he'll at least be able
yeah,
to oversee it. And I think that's what ends up happening. I think the warm up room ends up being a bit of a group project where everyone cooperates because everyone kind of knows everyone. But once you go on
yeah,
the other side of that curtain, it's like, all right, us versus you, baby, let's go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also curious to find out about how your team got put together. Like you mentioned at the start that you kind of put a call out about who wants to do it. Is it as simple as that? Is it just like who's available and wants to do it? And whose decision, I guess, is it in the end? Is it a decision that you're making because you're the president, or is it something that Dan's making because he's the coach, or how does it kind of come together?
Um, it was sort of made. The decision was made sort of with me and the vice president. She and I just sort of put together a Google form and put it in our powerlifting chat for anyone that's interested. And then we sort of have like a club. We just made on the whim a club ranking of like geo points, and just basically whoever was interested took from whoever placed higher on the ranking so that we can perform the best that we can as a team. Yeah, and then we just told Dan who's competing and then got our programs ready. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So it ultimately falls on the club leadership, so yourself and the vice president, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's how Jonah last year he went around, I think, just asking for interest last year. I think just because it was our first time, but I think this year we decided to make it sort of a who has the better points so we can perform well sort of
Yeah,
thing.
of course. Really
Yeah.
focusing on the competitive aspect. And I guess that's kind of my next question is like, how competitive do you kind of foresee you guys being? And how important is that for you in the club? Is it something where, good results here is something that you can maybe take back to the university and say, hey, as a club, we're growing and we're doing really well. We're scoring well in these team events. I went to nationals, this, that, the other. Is that an important aspect to it? Or are you just wanting to be competitive for your own sake? Or like, how does that kind of fall together?
I think as a team we are quite competitive. Like I think even though we are such a community based team as Melbourne Uni Lifting Club, we're student led, we're all like roughly the same age, so everyone gets along super well. But I think in the same breath, we are wanting to be competitive and take our name like to a really good place, really good position in the powerlifting community. Make it known that even though we're young, we shouldn't be underestimated. Like we have limited experience, but we have a lot of talent and a lot of growing talent. So yeah, we are I think wanting to be competitive for sure, and definitely take it back to the club and advertise it as a way of like saying, we're a quality club and we're just as friendly as we are competitive. So yeah, wanting to be inclusive as well, making sure that the sport isn't that scary to people that are just interested even in the gym has been it's been a big focus of mine as president this year. Make sure people aren't intimidated to join, but yeah, make sure that they know that we are like training at a high standard and going to these events, and we have people going to nationals, worlds. So yeah, I think we are pretty competitive as a club.
For sure, I think it is a bit of a fine balance because as a club you want to be performing well, but oftentimes performing really well can be intimidating to people who might want to
Yeah.
join the club, and so having that kind of like touch point with the more amateur and beginner people as well is important. It's also it's yeah, like I said, very challenging. Your club, Melbourne Uni, last year you mentioned you guys are very social, had a really strong network, really strong supporter group. A lot of people came out to support. There was like, I'd look into the crowd and see lots of Melbourne Uni Lifting Club supporters. Is that kind of a thing that's going to happen again this year?
Yeah, we're gonna try get as many people to come around and watch us. Yeah, it was amazing the turnout from people from our club and family and friends of the athletes last year. So yeah, we're definitely gonna try and make it a really community thing for our club. It was amazing last year, so gonna try to do the same thing. And it's great for us to have that support and look into the crowd and see, our people. So
Yeah,
it'll be
absolutely. That's great. I mean, like Melbourne Uni, obviously one of the clubs that's a little bit closer to us, geographically. A lot of other clubs are coming into state or from across town, but Melbourne Uni might have a little bit more access, so that'll be really good.
yeah.
It's I have to obviously ask if you've had a chance to put together big spreadsheets and projections. How do you kind of foresee Melbourne Uni placing? What are your goals in terms of where you land? Like, are you really hoping to kind of finish in top three or top five or top eight, or what do you see yourself as having as realistic goals, and what do you see yourself as having, stretch goals maybe, or like if everything falls to place, maybe we could finish here.
Yeah, I didn't get to put together too much of a spreadsheet, but I did a rough gauge of like the points and our possible standings, and I think we could actually do quite well if everything goes to plan. And obviously, normally it doesn't, but I think we have a good chance of. I think we have a good chance of definitely getting more points than last year, hopefully. Just given that, I don't have anyone to compete with. And I think Misha will do really well and probably will win her weight class. And yeah, the other two will get some points from them as well, from Aiden and Ethan. But I think we'll do really well. And obviously, we have the volunteer point from Monica, I believe. So yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll do well, and hopefully our goal is to just stay in the premier bracket as well. So we'll just want to see how we do there.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair goal, and I think you're one of the clubs that have actually a bit of bandwidth in terms of where you might place.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that, you mentioned yourself, like obviously as long as you make weight, you'll score full 6 points and put together a total.
Yeah.
And then Ethan, we spoke about earlier, probably going to score the 1 point. But it's Misha and Aiden who actually have a little bit of flexibility in their result. If both of them win their classes, that's a very different day than if both of them come second in those classes. Like
For
that's a very
sure.
different result as a group. So I think a lot's going to hinge on those two results. No pressure, Misha and
Yeah,
Aiden.
I know. Yeah, I did see that the 6 to 4 points. It does make a hell of a difference. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens on the day.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you like tally the points, if you assume they both come second, I think that you guys will score 15. So 6-4-4-1 is 15. But if
Yeah,
both of them win, then it's like 6-6,
20.
6-1
Yeah,
is 19 points. And 19
yeah,
points is like enough to almost win depending on how everything else lands, or at least be on the
yeah.
podium. And so there's a real opportunity for everybody listening that Melbourne Uni end up on the podium, but
Yeah.
you could be a little bit further down again depending on those results. And obviously
Yes.
depends on how the other clubs go too.
Yeah. Hoping that everything goes to plan for us. It would be awesome to have a place on the podium, but we're just wanting to do really well as a team and just come out feeling good about ourselves and knowing that gave out everything. So I think the most important to us.
Assuming Melbourne Uni Lifting don't win, who do you kind of foresee as being the team to beat or the top three? Have you had a chance to really like think about, okay, these are the really big teams that are going to finish on top?
I I don't really I haven't really looked at who would be the top three, but I think from memory last year, Process won last year, and I think they are genuinely really they're such an experienced team and definitely one that we look up to. Like they know what they're doing and they have really good coaches. But yeah, I think the other teams I'm not really too sure, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Haven't really looked into it too much.
That's probably a good way to do it. Nice, healthy way to do it. All right, Jess, I have to say thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, get to know you a little bit, hear a little bit about Melbourne Uni's perspective. Like I said, one of the stronger teams qualified for the Premier bracket from last year. It'll be a glory run to end up on the podium. So best of luck with your training the next week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Cool.